Good morning, everyone. Let's do some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Bhavaswa, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat, Asto Ma Sadgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गम्य ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहे तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहे ओम शांति 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 ओम. We've been talking about this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad for the last 2 weeks. Just a little introduction. So today we are going to start with verse number 1 of chapter 1 of Madhu Kand. So there are 3 Kands. So this is called a Madhu Kand. And this section over here is called Ashwamedh Brahman. And I've been telling you that this Upanishad is predominantly in a prose, not in the poetry. I mean, there are few verses in poetry, but most of them are in prose. So let's look at the first verse. Om Ushava Ashwasya Medhasya Shira Surya Chakshuhu Vataha Pranaha Vyatam Agnihi Vaishvanaraha Samvatsar Atmavasya Medhasya Dhyo Prishtam Antariksham Udram Prithvi Pajasyam Disha Parshve Avantar Disha Parshvaha Ritvo Angani Masaha धर्माश्च पर्वाणि अहोरात्राणि प्रस्ता नक्षत्रभ्य स्थिनि नभो भासानि उद्वयं सिक्तः सिन्धवो गुदा यकृश्च लोमानश्च पर्वतः ओषधयश्च वनस्पतश्च लोमानि उद्यन् पूर्वार्थः निम्नोः अंगनार्थः यद् विजृम्भते तद् विद्योतते यद् विधूनुते ततः तन्यति यत् मेहति तद् वर्षति वागे वासक्य वाक. So I'm sure if you have the books, you know the meanings of all these terms. And you can always look at it before the class so that you can understand and not get lost in these terms. So, but I'll go through some of them. We all have this discriminative mind. Through this discriminating mind, we find that this phenomenal world is controlled by 2 broad principles. One is the mystical principle, which is beyond the grasp of our senses and the intellect. That's why it's considered sacred and secret. It is the mysterious divine law. And the other is its counterpart, which is called the external principle, which is graspable by the mind and intellect. This is the one which we can communicate to the vast majority of the general public. So the former is suitable only to the select few whose minds are of introverted nature, which is called antarmukhi, introverted. The latter regulates human conduct in all walks of life, all secular activities, including the religious also. When I say religious, that means the rituals. This external principle is based on the divine, even though it remains invisible, impersonal, but definitely we can rationally explain all our actions. As long as we are caught up in the current of the ever-changing world and continue to move with it, we will not be able to know the nature of the divine principle I'm talking about, which is very subtle. When once we are able to stand apart as a witness of the world process, only then we can understand this great mystery, or you can call it a mysterious principle. How we can understand that at the back of everything that happens in the external world, there is some divine force. But we need to learn how to stand apart. And how do we stand apart? Because we are so engrossed in this external world, how to stand apart? This can be done by understanding the real nature of this world. Because this world reflects the divine principle in every condition, actually. Every stage, every circumstance of life. So if we first believe in it, then we can definitely put our finger on it. We got to learn how to transcend the lower so that we can achieve the higher. And how we can reach that? That is the theme of this Upanishad. So that means how to stand apart and how to understand the mystery, divine mystery of this universe. So this first verse of the first chapter of the first section, which I just recited, the English translation of that is, see, all these mantras, they start with Om. Om. The dawn verily is the head of the sacrificial horse. Ushaha va ashvasya medhasya shira. So the dawn verily is the head of the sacrificial horse. The sun is the eye. Suryaschakshuhu. Air is the breath. Vataha pranaha, or vital force. And Vaishvanar is the open mouth. And the ear is the body of the sacrificial horse. Samvatsar Atma Atmashvasya Medhasya. The heaven is the back. Dhyau Prishtham. Sky is the belly. The earth is the hoof. The directions are sides. The intermediate quarters are the ribs. The seasons are the limbs. The months and the fortnights are the joints. The days and the nights are the feet. The stars are the bones, and the clouds are the flesh of that sacrificial horse. The sands are the half-digested food. The rivers are the blood vessels. And the mountains are the liver and spleen. Sindhvo Guda. The herbs and trees are the hairs. The ascending sun is the forepart. The descending sun is the hind part. The lightning is yawning. Thunder is the shaking of the body. Raining is making water. Sound is its neighing. So this first section of the first chapter of the Upanishad deals with the meditation on the great Ashwamedh Yajna, the horse sacrifice. This sacrifice is a ritual, just like any other sacrifice. But over here, it's given for the purpose of meditation. One who meditates on the horse sacrifice in his mind gets the same benefit as the one who actually performs the ritualistic sacrifice. This yajna used to be done by the kings in the old times. There was a lot of charities were given, food distributed. It was a big yajna. But the Rishi is telling us that we can do the same yajna with our meditation. So this meditation is based on similarities between the symbol on which a person can meditate. Object of meditation is the Virat Purusha in the form of this universe, Virat Purusha. You remember Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita? He saw that Virat Roop of Bhagwan. So this is the Virat Roop explained over here. Through this meditation, you can superimpose the Virat Purusha on this universe. Time, worlds, directions, gods, etc. They are all part of this universe. And they are all superimposed on the various parts or the limbs of the horse. In this mantra, we see 25 limbs of the sacrificial horse, which are to be meditated upon as identical with 25 corresponding limbs or parts of the universe. The head of the sacrificial horse is to be meditated as the dawn, Usha. This is the period about 45 minutes just preceding the sunrise, which is called dawn. The similarity between the head of the horse and the dawn is the importance which both have in their respective fields. We all know head is the most important part of the horse. So is the dawn, most prominent part of the day, which is also called Brahma Muhurat. As yoga abhyasis, we are supposed to get up during Brahma Muhurat. Very important part of the day. The eye of the sacrificial horse is to be meditated as the sun. Surya's Chakshu. There are two reasons behind it. One is that the sun is the presiding deity of the eye. The second reason is their similarity in that the sun rises just after the dawn, and the eye comes just after the head. The vital force of the horse, the third thing, Vataha Pranaha, corresponds to the atmospheric air. Because the breath of the horse, which functions due to the vital force, is the nature of the air. So based on this similarity, the vital force in the horse is to be identified through meditation with air. Then comes the mouth of the horse. That should be meditated as the Vaishvanar Agni, because this is the presiding deity of that. And the body of the sacrificial horse is the ear. Over here, the Atma word, it really means the body. Okay, Atma word has been used for many, many different things. Over here, it means the body. So the year consisting of 12 months, 365 days, and their further subdivisions, such as hours, minutes, and seconds, may be considered as the body of which these divisions of time are limbs. And this is the similarity for meditation. The back portion of the horse is to be identified with the heaven, as both are high. Heaven is high, back of the horse is high. The belly of the horse is the sky, both being hollow. Its hoof is the earth, as both are hard. Two sides of the horse are to be contemplated as the four quarters, north, east, south, and west. And we all know that they are in contact with the later. Ribs are the intermediate quarters, the northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. So the similarity here may be that both are placed in between. The intermediate quarters in between the main quarters and the ribs in between the two sides of the body. And he says the limbs are similar to the seasons, because they both are divisions of the time. Because the body has already been identified with the year. So joints of the horse are the months and fortnights, being the connecting link. And the feet of the horse are to be meditated upon as the days and night. So the similarity that helps meditation here is that even as the horse stands on its feet, the presiding deity of time stands on days and nights. And bones are the stars, because both are white in color. The flesh of the horse is to be identified with the clouds. So it's like a blood drops from the flesh. It's almost like a water drops from the clouds. Half digested food is the sand, because both have unconnected and loose parts. The blood vessels of the sacrificial horse are to be identified with the rivers. It's like a resemblance is the flow of the liquid in both. Then he talks about liver and spleen, the muscles below the heart. They are hard, elevated like the mountains. So they are identified like that through contemplation. Then he talks about hair. Hair on the body of the sacrificial horse are to be meditated as herbs and trees. And the forepart of the horse, which has an upward ascent, identified with the rising sun, which also ascends up till moon. Then he talks about the hind part of the horse. Meditate as the setting sun. First it was a rising sun, setting sun. The forepart and the rising sun. Then he says yawning is lightning. Because the mouth, when you look at someone yawns, the mouth is split. It's almost like a splitting of the clouds. And the shaking the body resembles to thundering. Both produce sound. And the last thing he talks about, neighing of the sacrificial horse is to be contemplated as identical with sound. Because neighing produces sounds. So the whole universe is an organic whole. Parts of this whole are connected with one another. Just like every part of the horse is connected with the other part. So there's no difference between one person and another. It's just like you cannot cut up these parts. If you cut up the parts, there's no horse. This whole universe is also one part. One object and the another object, because all are made up of the same 5 elements. The earth, water, fire, air, and the ether. Everything. We really think that we are separate. And that is the mistake which we make. And it is the connecting link among the objects being one of the gross elements containing all the 5 subtle elements. The same elements constitute the objects, the same elements constitute the bodies also. Whether it's a body of a tree or a body of an animal or a body of a human being. So this mantra, what should we take away from it? That we should know there is no physical separation. Then what is the cause of separation? which everyone feels. The cause is psychological, created by imagination. It is this wrong imagination by the mind that causes the feeling of separation among persons, animals, plants, and even other objects. This feeling of segregation and individuality causes all the sorrows and misery. When we feel the oneness, there is no sorrow. My right hand is stronger than my left hand, but my left hand is not afraid of my right hand. Sometimes by mistake, my teeth bite my tongue, but there's no misery. There could be a pain, but no misery, because the feeling of oneness. So that's why a person who hankers after liberation, and liberation is what? A destruction of the sorrow, has to give up this erroneous imagination of separateness. Got to learn how to resort to the right thinking. We got to realize the one homogeneous organic nature of this universe. So with the example of this horse, this is what Rishi is telling us. Just like in that horse, a big animal, all the parts are part of that one animal. The same way, whether we are admiring the dawn or the dusk, whether we are looking at the clouds or the rain, whether we are looking at the mountains or the rivers, the trees or the herbs, they are all one. The meditations which are known by the names of Vidyas or Upasanas in the Upanishads, they aim at this great goal of human life. So no matter which Upanishad we pick up, they are taking our attention towards that we are all one. So in this meditation on the horse sacrifice, the sacrificial horse, because the most important item of the sacrifice is to be meditated as the whole universe which forms the body, as a Virat Purush, also called Prajapati, or the Hiranyagarbha, the presiding deity of the horse sacrifice. Even though these horse sacrifices were done by the kings, but why did they do it? They did it to expand their kingdoms. But over here, this Rishi is telling us to expand our own consciousness. This is the kingdom we are living with. Instead of thinking narrowly, we got to think in this big way. This whole universe, whatever we see, they are all part of that same Virat Purusha. So let me read it again, the literal translation of this, so that you understand it a little better. The dawn verily is the head of the sacrificial horse. Started with the dawn and the head. The sun is the eye. The air is the breath or the vital force. The fire, Vaishvanar, is the open mouth. And the ear is the body of the sacrificial horse. The heaven is the back, the sky is the belly, the earth is the hoof. The directions are the sides. The intermediate quarters are the ribs. The seasons are the limbs. The months and fortnights are the joints. The days and nights are the feet. The stars are the bones. And the clouds are the flesh of that sacrificial horse. The sands are the half-digested food. The rivers are the blood vessels. The mountains are the liver and spleen. The herbs and trees are the hairs. The ascending sun is the forepart. The descending sun is the hind part. The lightning is yawning. Thunder is the shaking of the body. Raining is making water. And sound is its neighing. Okay. So I hope you understand this. Just do not get confused by so many words. Just the essence of this is that it's one whole. Every part is part of that whole. So this was the first mantra. And I would like you to look at the meanings of the second mantra this week before our next class, and then we'll go through the second mantra also next week. And these are the only two mantras in this section. So first section, okay? So aharva ashvam purastat mahima vajayat tasya purve samudre yoni ratri renam pancham mahima yajayat tasya prehe samudre yoni etova ashvam mahima navita sambhuvutu hayo bhutva devan vahat vaji gandharvan अर्वासुरान अश्वो मनुष्यान समुद्र एवस्य बंधु samudro yoni. So we'll look at the details of this next week. But remember that in this section, the world is compared to a sacrificial horse. It's only for the comparison. That's why he has given us the exhaustive description of the world, and he presented it in comparison with the different limbs of the horse. It is like an esoteric and a philosophic meaning behind this. It is a fact within the range of everybody's knowledge that the aim of the Upanishadic philosophy is to lift our mind from the lower regions of the sansara to the higher planes of sublime ideals. Okay? So instead of just thinking about this objective world, we are supposed to think about higher. Just like a king, he performed this Ashwamedh Yajna. He wanted the victory over the kingdoms of the earth. So it's like anybody who desired the earthly happiness did this. But meditators, people with higher thought and experience, they really sought to spiritualize that sacrifice. Instead of conquering the different kingdoms, we are trying to conquer our lower mind. The mind which just goes into this objective world, we want to conquer that. The mind which gets disturbed too easily, we want to conquer that. Mind which has greed, the lust, anger in it, we want to conquer that. So we want to gain sovereignty over our own self. When we, in the bhajans, we sing that we want to conquer our mind. But over here, the Rishi is giving us these mantras for the sake of meditation so that we can conquer this lower mind. Because we know that followers of the Karam Kand, they stick to the external aspects of the meaning of the sacrifice. Because there are a lot of yajnas. For the ritualistic person, a lot of yajnas in the Vedas. But for deeper study, to conquer the mind, because outer rituals could be just to gain something in this objective world. But over here, we want to have this subjective experience of ourself. So this is the inner spiritual significance of this mantra. Because when we meditate like this, only then will come the vision of the cosmic soul, cosmic spirit, which the sacrificial horse symbolizes. So it's just a symbol. Symbolically, he is talking about this sacrificial horse. Let's stop it here and we'll start our next class with the mantra number 2. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vishishyate Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.